You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert, clear all channels.
This is an exclusive
Pay-per-view review.
How you like that?
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
The time will come when you have to rise above the rest and prove yourself. Your spirit never dies. Farewell, I've gone to take my throne above.
Welcome to Wrestling to the Max Unwrapped, special number 15.
Wow, we've done 15 of these? That is amazing, guys.
Well, that's not 15 with you guys. That's just 15 specials. I switched the extra specials out for different things.
Okay.
I believe this is Wrestling Unwrapped to the Max episode 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to write that down. I will forget, of course, and I think, we'll have to get that figured out. But, yeah, this is going to be an awesome show, guys. I'm not promising that the pay-per-view we are going to review is awesome, but, hey, we are going to be awesome for it, right? It's going to be a fun show because, guess what? We have our normal guys on this show from, the regular Wrestling to the Max show, Mr. Sean Garmer.
Yes, I'm here.
And we also Mr. Harry Broadhurst from the Raw Reaction. Welcome back again.
Thank you very much, Gary. Sean.
What's up, man?
And of course, guys, we can't forget Mr. Patrick Ketza from Wrestling Unwrapped. Man, we are so happy to have you back too.
We'd like to forget.
Harry would like to forget.
Beat you to it.
It doesn't take long.
These two guys are feuding already. So anyway,
always an honor to be here on this wonderful show, and Harry's Harry.
Yeah. But it's
Harry, Harry.
No, I said Harry is Harry.
Oh boy, we're getting into fifth grade jokes.
I thought he said carry Harry because I was going to say he didn't carry a thing in his life. Why would he start now?
If you would have said Harry Carey, I would have had to bite your ear off. But anyway, let's go ahead.
Oh, wait. Ow.
Yeah, sorry. SNL references are welcome. But guys, I have to mention one person that is not on the show with us, and that is Mr. Paul Leeser. Once again, man, it's a bummer he's not on the show with us, but he has other obligations tonight, so we totally get it. It's cool. It happens. But we will be missing him. You will get all his Survivor Series review talk on Wrestling to the Max this coming Wednesday. So if you want to check out that show, come listen live Wednesday. It'll be on demand on Thanksgiving Day. So while you're cooking your turkey, while you're sitting down with the family, we know you're going to pump the show. So that's the time you'll hear Mr. Paul Leeser's review. But the rest of this will be all us having a good time talking about Survivor Series.
I don't know about you, Gary. I won't be having that great of a time talking about this show.
You know what? I'm going to make it a good time, right? We're going to make it fun despite the fact you may not like the content, okay? It's like, I won't even go into that. Let's go ahead and jump into the first match, and that is not the first official match of Survivor Series, but it's the kickoff match. Myself, Sean, nor Harry really watched this match. So we are going to leave this to Patrick, who was brave enough to suffer through it for us. And, of course, this was the Dudleys defeating the Ascension. But there's more to it than just that. Give us the word, Patrick. What happened here?
Trying to remember. It was actually a Survivor Series tag match, Gary.
Okay, I see. I didn't watch it.
I'm actually legitimately trying to remember everybody that was in it. It was Connor, Victor. It was Connor, Victor, Stardust,
Bo Dallas and Miz
versus the Dudley Boys, Neville, Who else? And I'm leaving the last guy out on purpose.
Titus O'Neil.
Okay, Titus O'Neil, and the last guy
So
in
it
return.
was basically
and
like a bunch of like tournament losers. And,
Tournament losers.
Damn it, put him in.
Tournament losers, the Dudleys, and the Ascension, more or less.
Shit. And the final guy actually being the returning Goldust, which the reaction that Stardust had, I actually did think was pretty good. And, you know, the match was actually pretty one-sided. I feel bad for Neville because Neville was the only person eliminated from the face team. And in the end, I mean, this was essentially just, it was a long one because I think it spanned 2 commercial breaks on a pre-show, but it was still completely one-sided because the sole survivors ended up being Titus O'Neil, Goldust, and the Dudley Boys. You know, so, but I mean, it was a nothing match. It was pretty much just to say, hey, we got a, you know, Survivor Series style elimination match, you know, on the show, which we would end up having one later on, but it had absolutely no meaning to anything whatsoever aside from bringing Goldust back.
Wow. But I mean, I guess, you know, you can't hate too much. They give you a lot of different stars. They bring back Goldust. It is what it is. It's a kickoff match. So honestly, can you be that disappointed? I mean, I'm not even disappointed I missed it. I mean, let's be honest. But I mean, looking at this, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Harry, I mean, do you think they really could have put something better on here? I mean, honestly, it's just a kickoff match.
Well, it's the Survivor Series. My thought to that is that Survivor Series should have Survivor Series matches on the main card. And you could have probably dumped, I don't know, Breeze and Ziggler down to the pre-show. Now, I know that's kind of considered blasphemous given the fact that everybody's really liking Breeze. And I'm enjoying Breeze as well, but at the same time, this is the Survivor Series pay-per-view. That being said, the only thing that I really take away from this match, I read Scott Slimmer's review of the match over on 401 in order to see what I missed. The only thing that I really take away from this match is that Goldust came back and a bunch of baby faces survived.
There you go. That's all you need to know, honestly. But, Sean, I kind of like Harry's thought process on this because it is Survivor Series. Even if this was not a great match, you could have put this on the main card. It could have been the cool-down match, and then you could have had Breeze and Ziggler on the pre-show. To me, that would have been more valuable. It would have made me watch it for sure. I mean, I wouldn't even started this show without watching it. I don't know about you. Do you feel like that's a good, you know, thought?
No, when they throw stupid matches that no one cares about at the last minute, no, I don't want to see those on the main card. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You have how many hours of TV that you can dedicate to your shows. There's no excuse for having a Survivor Series match that was pretty much on the card but never announced. Like the one that's actually on the card, they never announced the participants. To the fact that we couldn't even preview it on the roundtable because we had no idea who was going to be on the in the match, which is stupid. Like, why couldn't you just go ahead and name the participants? Like, you make matches on .com all the time. What does it matter? Like, that's what just really bothers me. It's that they do what they want to do, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, you know, that stuff matters in some cases, you know. Yes, would a Breeze and whatever have made a difference to some people watching the pre-show because that stuff gets shown on, part of it gets shown on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, whatever, yeah, then okay. But I just don't see the point. And, you know, I'd rather have a Survivor Series match that has some build to it on there.
I'm with you on that, and I can totally see that as well because, you know, once again, you want people to at least get excited. And to me personally, I mean, it's fun to have Goldust be a surprise, but if you would have had him on the marquee saying, hey, he's going to be on the kickoff show, people may have checked it out just to see Goldust come back. You know, Goldust fans, it may be not a large percentage of the WWE Universe is jumping up and down to see Goldust, but there are some people who are going to specifically go look at that for him. So, you know, it's interesting, but that's just a kickoff match, so not much there for us to really get into. Let's go ahead and get this thing started, and we start the Survivor Series show off with Guess who? Roman Reigns. Yeah, that's right. They've been putting him in front of your face a lot, but here he is starting the show off. Go ahead.
Well, hang on. You might as well mention the other thing that actually opened the pay-per-view.
Okay,
let's not skip Lily in here.
Okay. Well, go ahead, guys.
Why
you mentioned
it's an anthem. Like, what is it's the national anthem that just gets. They do that anyway, just they don't air it on the show.
Yes, but it's a gigantic pay-per-view aired. Fuck you to ISIS.
Okay, and I mean,
that's all I wanted to say.
That stuff was unfounded anyway, so you know.
Well, it is.
I think at the very least, it at least warrants a mention.
I mean, she always does it really well. So.
Yeah, she does. And, you know, and
better than some of the celebrities that come on there and sing it.
Definitely, I would agree with that. But yeah, I am fair enough, guys. I appreciate you mentioning that. You know, it's really important to celebrate. You know, and of course, any game or any wrestling event or any kind of sporting event at all, you want to start it out classy. That was classy. So. But let's go ahead and talk about this first match we got. Roman Reigns versus Alberto Del Rio. Of course, he's with Mr. Zeb Coulter, one of the best managers of all time. This is a great thing, if you ask me, because of the fact that we do get the guy that WWE wants out there front and center starting out this show. You got Alberto Del Rio. You're really not sure still about him. But this is an okay match. I mean, for me personally, it wasn't that bad. I'm really curious what you guys have to say. I kind of like some of the false finishes they had here. We all know Roman Reigns was going to win. I don't imagine any of you predicted that he wasn't going to win. If he did, wow, I'm surprised. But Harry, I mean, looking at this, I got to know from you, what was the quality level that you thought this match deserved, or was actually?
I think this was Alberto Del Rio's best match since he's come back to the WWE. That being said, he really needs to get rid of that Tree of Woe double stomp in the corner. That move setup is hastily contrived. Every single match he does it, whereas his cross hornbreaker comes off much more organically.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I said the same thing last on the show on Thursday, that it's just there's no natural way really to get over to that move. It's it's just something that he has to come up with. You have to put him in the Tree of Woe, or you have to be in the corner over there. It's just really, really freaking annoying. And I hate it. It doesn't match him at all. It should be a move that maybe you pull out of the hat, like when there's a wrestler that you're wrestling, like Kalisto, that can maybe pull that kind of stuff off. More organically, as Harry said. Just with somebody like Roman Reigns, the cross-arm breaker works wonderfully. I think it's just dumb. And like, you did the move later, and it looked cool when he pulled him all the way out to the ring, and he's basically hanging on, almost touching the floor. Like, that's what makes that move awesome, is he can pull it out almost anywhere. And then he locks it on, and you're like, oh crap, instant, like, oh, is he going to tap now? Instead of this move that's like, it sort of looks devastating, but it doesn't, And, I thought I was surprised. I thought they would kind of have Del Rio get finished off pretty quick. And that spear into the kick, that was awesome. I really liked that.
It was good.
And the finish wasn't that great, but I mean, like, again, that's the thing that sucks about that move. There's really no way to do that to where it looks like, oh, he's about to do that double stomp thing. Oh wait, he missed it. Oh, he's got to do the spear. Okay.
Yeah. You're right. And, there was a few things in here that really did, kind of make me excited, and that was the fact that we were going to see that arm breaker by Del Rio, because I agree with totally what you guys were saying. The Tree of Woe thing is just blah. I hate it personally. But at least they do, put it back into play, the cross arm breaker. Patrick, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? Were you surprised at the level of the match? I mean, because to me, I wasn't sure, because Harry just pointed out, this is the best match that Del Rio has had being back in the WWE so far, and I wasn't sure. My expectations were kind of low.
I think that was almost universal. I didn't really have much going into this match either. And I mean, it wasn't bad. by any means. I do agree with what Harry said. I think it's Del Rio's best match since coming back, but that's still not saying very much. And I'm actually waiting for the time that Del Rio gives somebody a concussion for his double stomp, because, like you said, it's not his style. He's a ground-based wrestler, and to me, I find a double stomp to be more of a high flyer's repertoire, and he's not that style. But I mean, it wasn't a bad match. I think it did beat my expectations, but like you said, the expectations were so low that anything of quality would have beaten them. So, and it was no surprise that Roman was going to win. I think everybody had the final already figured out, once we saw who the Final Four was. So, I mean, expectations were exceeded a little bit. Expectations out of the match were, 100% met.
And I completely agree with the fact that, really, let's be honest, the final of this whole tournament was pretty much predicted by a majority of wrestling fans, or people at least who follow it closely. So I think that, that's a great point, but we do have Roman Reigns going through here, so he goes to the final.
I do need to interrupt you. We do have a caller on the line right now.
Welcome to Wrestling Unwrapped. Wrestling to the Max Unwrapped, sorry. Who is this?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Hey, man.
What's going on, man?
Man, I was going to say, I heard y'all talking about Del Rio's match against Reigns. I would actually say not only was that Del Rio's best match since he came back, but that was match of the night for me. I thought that match was, as a whole, as an entirety, that match was better than Owens and Ambrose. I thought Owens and Ambrose had a great finishing segment at the end, which was great. But if I was just comparing like the entirety of the match, I think from start to finish, I thought Reigns and Del Rio put on an excellent match.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they did put on a really good match. This was a very, very difficult night for me to really put a point on which match I really liked the most, because I think there were some really good matches, and then there were some matches, were pretty okay. But I think that's really interesting that you thought this was the best, and I could see where you come from that, because as I watched it, I really liked the end of it. I mean, the end of it probably was something that would sell me on your point of being the best match.
Yeah, we also have another Paul Giannis in the group. He's saying that he enjoyed that match a lot more than Owens and Ambrose as well.
Yeah,
I'm inclined to disagree with Rick. I think the Owens and Ambrose match was a little bit better. I honestly had high expectations for the main event. We'll talk more about that match later, I'm sure. But I got to say, going into it, what I was expecting, what actually happened, I was a little bit disappointed. I'll talk more about that when we get there.
I think we were all kind of disappointed. It felt that just kind of just felt there.
Mm-hmm.
I would say with the Owens and Ambrose match, I was probably like more excited because that was more iffy who would win that, who would go to the finals. I don't think anybody expected Alberto Del Rio in the finals, but I could actually see Kevin Owens in the final, even though we pretty much all knew it was going to be Ambrose. But so that match was more up in the air, so you got more excited about it, and the finishing sequence at the end of that match was really exciting because you really didn't know who was going to win. But if you take away the excitement factor because of the unpredictability of it, I still say, just technically sound and everything else, Reigns and Del Rio was a better match.
Fair enough.
I'll be curious to see what Tony and Jimmy have to say tomorrow night, that's for sure.
What do you think, Patrick? Do you have a thought on one way or another?
I was sorry, filling something up. I was also more excited for Ambrose and Owens. And I think between the two, I preferred Ambrose and Owens just because I like their more high-paced, kind of frantic style, which they both do kind of have, and that excites me more than kind of ground wrestling. So I think everyone had pegged Ambrose, like you said, but like you said, there was a bit more unpredictability because you could have Owens go in, trying to do the double title like they did with Rollins a few months ago, and like ROH did with Lethal and things like that. But between the two, I actually do prefer the second, but that's just because their style is more exciting to me.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I got to ask Rick. Now, I know we were talking about this match, of course, the two, semifinal matches, but I got to ask you, you saw the Survivor Series match itself during this. Did you enjoy that at all, or what were your thoughts on that Survivor Series match that they had?
Are you talking about the kickoff or the one on the main show?
The main show. No, not the kickoff. Kickoff no one cares about.
Well, but the Survivor Series match on the main show wasn't until after those two matches. So.
Well, I know. But I don't know if Rick's staying on with us. I want to go ahead and get. Okay. Unless he wants to, Rick's more than welcome to stay on with us if he wants. I'm just saying. But anyway, what were your thoughts about that?
It was lackluster. For one thing, I don't know why it was a surprise to see who was in this match, because I don't think they announced it until they came out to the ring, unless they put it on the website and I didn't see. And I have to say, when they came out to the ring, I love that everyone loves a New Day and everything, but Sheamus acting like a joke at the beginning, it was entertaining and it was good for what it was, but when you fast forward to the end of the pay-per-view and now he's the champion, it's like you can't take him seriously when he does skits like that, or when he does stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, I just think it's in general it's hard to take him serious in general.
Exactly. When he first came back after his hiatus from filming the movie, he came back as a badass, ass kicker, and I don't know, they just kind of slowly reverted him back to being the clown that he is, and I don't know. I did like Ryback just trying to be a luchador and jumping off the top rope onto the crowd of people at on the floor. That actually had me busting out laughing watching Ryback do that. But I don't know. It was, like I said, it was lackluster. There's nothing really. The only thing that might come out of it, I'm hoping, is to see where the New Day goes, because they have some beef with the champion now.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is really interesting. I like that point. But was there anything else on this show that you wanted to kind of discuss, or anything you want to get into?
I have to say that the two semifinal matches, I think we were debating on which one was better, but I think we would all agree that the two semifinal matches were better than the final between Reigns and Ambrose. Unless y'all have a different opinion on that.
That's what's funny is sometimes, there are many cases where the final does deliver, but there are also cases where, I think especially I remember with King of the Rings, where they use up so much energy in that semifinal that the final just becomes we're just going to have this match because we have to, but it's more about what happens afterwards, not so much the actual match.
I would say that in regards to the King of the Ring comparison, though, with the heavyweight title being on the line here, you would think that they would have given more time and more priority towards the finals.
Yeah, but you also have to think about, again, like the whole wrestling twice in one night. Are they exhausted? Reigns technically wrestled 3 matches in one night. I think that at that point, yeah, they probably give too much time to the Divas and Undertaker and Kane and all that, maybe. But I wonder if they just really didn't care so much about making sure those two had a terrific match as much as it was just to getting to the ending cliffhanger of the show.
Yeah, I think the Survivor Series match got in the way of the Survivor Series pay-per-view. They just had to have it because it's Survivor Series.
You know what I think, John raises a valid point here, and it might have been intentional that they gave them as little time as they did for the heavyweight title match in order to save that match for a bigger moment down the road.
That's a good point.
I mean, but we'll get into the, different things they could have done with that match. It's, just...
For sure. Well, Rick, anything else? I mean, you're more than welcome to stay. I mean, I'm not trying to get rid of you. You're more than welcome to stay. I didn't know how long you wanted to stay on.
No, I gotta get ready for work in the morning. I'm loading up my truck to make deliveries in tomorrow morning. So I'll probably leave in a little bit and listen to the rest of the show. But I just want to leave y'all with this. One of my friends posted a meme on one of my wrestling groups that I'm in, and it has a picture of Daniel Bryan shaking Roman Reigns' hand, and the caption says, "Here, Roman, take my WrestleMania story." I thought that was pretty funny.
We're getting there.
Oh, you gotta love that, man. That is awesome, Rick. But everybody, if you want to hear more of what Rick's opinions are, he's on with Mr. Harry Broadhurst on the Raw Reaction. You need to go listen to these guys. These guys are great. Rick's a part of that, so go check out that show. Man, thanks a lot, Rick, for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
All right, later, man.
Later.
All right, guys. Well, we pretty much kind of got into a little bit what we thought about this match between Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose, but let's kind of get into a little bit more on your just final thoughts before we move on to something else. So, Sean, we'll start with you. What were some of your thoughts and your final thoughts on this match?
The ending sequence was cool that it took, they kind of teased it, maybe Owens will get it this time with the double super kicks, and then he kind of throws him into the ropes again, but then Ambrose is able to get out of it and do all that. That was a cool sequence. I really liked the promo that Owens cuts with Reigns, because he really did sell himself there, with able to kind of just let you know that, hey, it put a little bit of doubt in my mind a little bit that, maybe this isn't such the done deal with Ambrose as we think it is, and I think he did a good enough job there selling himself. I think a lot of people were buying that whole Ambrose wasn't too giddy about Reigns moving on thing when he kind of stepped in there, and I thought they did a good job of kind of making you think that maybe Ambrose was going to do something, but he doesn't. So the match was good. I thought they worked hard. They tried to get some spots in there to make you think Owens was going to win, but at the end of the day, it came very clear that Ambrose won, and he did. And I didn't think either semifinal match was great. We're going to be talking about it tomorrow kind of thing, but they were both very good.
All right, Patrick, what were your thoughts?
I personally wish this one had gotten more time, just knowing what they are capable of in the ring, these two. And I do agree. I think the promo that was cut before the match actually did put some doubt in my mind too, calling it the Kevin Owens show and all that. But I think pretty much as soon as everyone saw the bracket and Ambrose and Reigns were on the opposite sides, I think everybody knew, that it was going to be a somewhat excuse me, that was not intentional. It was going to be a somewhat foregone conclusion that it was going to be Ambrose and Reigns in the finals. I think Owens, put up a pretty good match. Once again, did not warrant the "this is awesome" chant that it got, but it kind of seemed like they were phoning it in, knowing how the night was supposed to end. It almost seemed like everyone was phoning it in, which sucks. But, and we ended up getting the conclusion. We ended up, getting towards the conclusion that we all expected, which was Reigns and Ambrose in the finals.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Harry, what were your thoughts on?
I thought Ambrose and Owens was really good. I actually picked Owens to win this match because I didn't think they pulled the trigger on Reigns Ambrose yet. And I think that Owens would have been a better guy for Reigns to have that battle with at the end of the show to exhaust him because he's a larger guy. He's comparatively size-wise much more so than Ambrose is, and regardless of the fact that Ambrose has all the fight that he does, Owens' moveset is very dissimilar to Ambrose's in that his is a more power-driven one, whereas Ambrose's is almost entirely speed, and going the power-for-power match to wear Reigns down before the cash-in with Sheamus would have made more sense to me.
All right, guys. Well, a lot of great final thoughts on Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens' match. Once again, I still feel like, pretty predictable. I know there was more, mystery here than in the first match. But, I still feel like, a lot of people kind of predicted, what the final would be. And this kind of ends us up with our final being Ambrose and Roman Reigns later.
The crowd that was good that they were both into them.
Mm-hmm.
There was a fight Owens, fight Let's Go Ambrose chant, and the crowd wasn't like hot by any means at all during any of the show, but at least they were into them, and that's a good thing. They were booing Reigns and doing all that in the previous match, but they seemed kind of into this.
Yeah, you're totally right on that, Sean, and that says a lot, and especially for Kevin Owens, if you ask me, because there's still people doubting Kevin Owens' popularity. Kevin Owens, can he, get to where he wants to be, all that. So, when you get good reactions, especially after kind of a soft, quiet crowd, that's really positive. So, let's move on, though. We need to talk about the Survivor Series match, guys. And this one is an interesting one. Maybe not the best Survivor Series match of all time or anything, but at least it's a Survivor Series match. We have Team Uso, which is going to include the Lucha Dragons, along with another guy they like, Mr. Ryback himself. He joins them. And then we get Team New Day, which brings in the two guys that have been working together for quite a while now, King Barrett and Sheamus, and so they are a part of this whole group. And of course, Patrick already mentioned a little bit here, but we'll kind of talk about it some more. They kind of do their normal thing, kind of cut a promo joke. Yeah, mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, Lucha Dragons. Yeah, that's okay. Sorry, Sean.
I might have just gone deaf at that moment.
It's okay. If I missed it, thank you for fixing it. I just don't remember either. I'm talking. My brain doesn't work at the same time when I talk. So anyway, but here we go, guys. Let's just jump into this. There's no reason for me to break down each elimination. But in the beginning of this match, we lose King Barrett first, and there goes Jimmy Uso. We lose Sin Cara. So, there you go. It's already shorthanded for the faces, but not too long after Big E is down and out. That leaves basically a situation where the New Day is not happy that Big E is taken out, and they decide that he is injured, and they take him away. So that leaves Sheamus alone with Jey Uso, Kalisto, and of course Ryback. So it's a 3-on-1. Sheamus is unsure of it, but he continues the match. Which I thought was kind of a good thing. I was kind of worried that they were going to have him just walk away or something, to be honest with you. But they didn't do that. Go ahead.
Given what happened later in the show, it probably would have made more sense for him to walk away.
Yeah, you're totally right on that. But,
I think I tweeted out, does anybody else look like more of a goof than Sheamus as the Money in the Bank holder?
Yeah. It's true, though. Patrick pointed it out. Or actually, it was, Rick who pointed it out just a minute ago. He looks so goofy, and he's so silly at times. It's just, I don't know. But, and that's your champion now. But we'll talk about that later. But let's go ahead and just kind of conclude this.
Barrett doing the whole dance with Big E and everything. That was goofy too, but that was great.
Yeah, it's great and all, but, Go ahead, Harry.
King, I was watching the show with my buddy Jason. King Barrett dancing with Big E there almost made me spit soda on him. not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I will openly admit something for me. For the love of God, don't ask me any questions. I missed almost this entire match because I was having dinner.
Okay, well, since you were having
Kofi doing the booty dance too.
But I mean, at least you got to see the conclusion, right, Patrick? I mean, you got a chance to see that Sheamus did not become victorious in this one. At least he did lose this one. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys think this is hokey or not, or what. I mean, 3-on-1. To me, usually these kind of things get a little bit closer than 3-on-1. I don't know. Harry, did you agree with my point earlier? I kind of almost felt like sometimes that this match was just thrown in there because they needed a Survivor Series match.
You know what the problem to me is that both of the Survivor Series matches that they had tonight were complete blowouts for the baby faces, and you almost never see something like that. As far as getting these guys on the card, yeah, I'm okay with getting these guys on the card, with the exception of Sheamus, and especially with the way that Sheamus was booked in this match. Given how the show ended, and obviously I'm giving away something by saying that, but given how the show ended, I would have kept Sheamus off of the card for surprise value.
Exactly. I so understand why this needed to happen. I get it that Rusev's injured, so you had nobody to kind of pair with Barrett, but just anyone. You could just find anyone at that point to just pair with him. It would have made no difference whatsoever. You could have had Barrett be the last guy. Instead of being the first one eliminated, it doesn't really matter at that point. If he's going to get left 3-on-1, he's still going to look like a total doofus. I mean, and then it just felt weird, like, you're going to have one guy of every team be the last person. Like, what does it really do for... I mean, like, I could get, like, Kalisto, but what does it really do for Jey Uso to be one of the last people when the New Day weren't even there? Like, if the New Day were eliminated also... I could understand, but like the New Day walked away, so just I don't understand. Like at that point, it really didn't matter whether it was Ryback left with Sheamus or all three of them or all five of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can only see where you're coming from. This match, it was once again, I thought it was okay, but I mean, it really did not blow me away. The ending didn't do anything for me really. I kind of really just felt like it was thrown together. They had to do it because of the name of the pay-per-view. Outside of that, it did not have any meaning. And Patrick, I know you didn't get a chance to see it, or most of it, because you were eating, but I got to ask you this. You've seen a lot of Survivor Series matches. You've seen a lot of good ones, and I'm sure you've seen a few duds, but I mean, just the way this one sounds alone, I mean, to you... I mean, would this probably be the bottom of the list just by the result you just heard us talk about?
Without a doubt. I mean, even the little bit that I did say. Here's the thing. Here's the one thing I question: couldn't the referee have at least counted out New Day? Because they never actually announced that New Day was eliminated in any way, shape, or form.
No.
They
just walked away, and they're like, "Okay."
Under old Survivor Series rules, technically that would be elimination by abandonment.
That's not one of the 4 rules, though. Pinfall, submission, elimination, count out.
Pinfall, submission, disqualification, abandonment.
It doesn't really, honestly, other than you, Harry, who the hell remembers that that's a rule? Like, that's something that should have been stated point blank. Like the announcer or the announcers didn't say anything.
You're asking for way too much from this announce team there, Sean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to say, I think that Harry actually brings credibility to the table compared to Michael Cole at times. The fish tank, Michael Cole.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but sure, I'll take the compliment.
I will. I'll compliment you, Harry. You're good. You're good. So, I mean, once again, not much to it. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, but I think like this is definitely lower tier quality stuff, especially considering. Remember the last Survivor Series style match that occurred that we saw on a pay-per-view? That one was huge, and I thought that one was awesome. The one, last year, the main event. To me, that one was absolutely awesome. So to go from that to this,
yeah, but that was done in a different style. That was done to be awesome.
And in fairness, Patrick, that match had months worth of build up into it. This particular match had 2 minutes of entrances worth of build going into it.
But it's my point. Why not try to at least put something into it instead of saying, "Oh, there's going to be a Survivor Series style match, but we're not going to tell you who the hell's in it." To me, it's a slap in the face of everybody. It's a slap in the face because, yeah, some guys are going to get on the show, but they're really not going to get anything with it. They're not going to gain anything by winning. They're not going to lose anything by losing. They're just going to be stagnant. So to go from last year, which, like you said, yeah, it had tons of build and it was awesome because of it, to this, yeah, this is lower tier stuff here easily.
Yeah, so sadly, this Survivor Series match was nothing that anybody really has to watch. You honestly probably could check out Raw and see what you need to see. Let's be honest. Just not a lot of thrilling stuff in here, not a lot of moments that you're just dying to see. And that's kind of a sad thing for me. I think especially when they're gimmick matches, when they're geared towards what the pay-per-view name is, I think they got to have some special things to them, and I just did not feel like this was one of those. So let's move on from this, and let's move on to the Divas match. And you have Paige facing off the Divas champion Charlotte, and of course, controversy has surrounded these two girls, especially since Monday. But here they are in this match, and I would say, I guess, a decently solid match here. But we do end up having Charlotte win, and she wins by submission, and that no surprise there for me. I felt like that could happen, but I don't know about you guys. I don't know. It was just nothing spectacular to me at times. Sean, what were your thoughts, though? I got to know.
Match are we talking about again?
The Divas Championship match.
No, you know what? The Divas Championship match was actually pretty good, I thought. They tried. This was probably the best that they've tried to do on a pay-per-view, that would actually kind of model any of the... I'm not saying it's anywhere near any of the... I think the only thing it might touch is the first one, Paige versus Emma. But I thought they really tried to get across the whole they don't like each other, like they were trying to be stiff with each other. They tried to do spots. Maybe they didn't come off very well, like that spear off the barricade just didn't look good. But honestly, also I think the crowd just... I thought that they just shat on the match and really didn't try to get into it except for like one time. And honestly, the Divas are trying a lot harder than what they deserved, honestly. The figure four in the beginning worked out for the figure eight at the end. I mean, yeah, did Paige stop selling it for a while? Sure. But again, I'm not one of those people that feels like because your leg got worked on, you got to act like you got hit with a shotgun to the leg either. I mean, they were doing what the storyline called for. Yes, did they wait till the last Raw to really get that part in there? Yeah, but I just thought that it was much better than the crowd was giving it credit for. And this is one of the first ones I can say that deserves that Divas Revolution title. Even though, yeah, it doesn't touch anything from NXT, it's getting somewhere, They need more stuff like this. And again, I think it's just Paige's style is so different than all the other ones' style. Charlotte was the first one that wrestled Paige in sort of the fashion that Paige wrestles. She's very stiff. She's snug the way she does things. She's more like she does kicks and other things. She doesn't get all flashy with her moves and whatever, So, and Charlotte's not that flashy either. Charlotte's very ground-based and all that stuff. So, again, I thought they worked well together.
Now, Harry, Sean's pretty high on this match. How did you feel? Were you as high on this match as him?
I thought it was better than Paige and Charlotte and Nikki last month, but at the same time, I feel like they could have done more. Let me pull up the link here. Okay, they got 14 minutes actually, which surprises me. But I didn't realize this match went that long. The only issue that I really had, though, is that there was way too much mat-based wrestling at the start of the match. For as intense as the go-home angle on Raw was supposed to be, they shouldn't have been trading ground wrestling moves at the start of this match. They should have come in fists a-flying.
Well, no, it was more about, like, Charlotte was trying to she was doing a bunch of backside slams, and Paige kept trying to tell her to get off of her and all that stuff. I mean, there was intensity there. It wasn't just like Paige just being like, okay, let's do some exchanging holds or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know, but for me personally, I mean, this is supposed to be a blood feud, a brawl for me because of the emotions in this match, but I don't know. That's just me. I thought it was going to be a little bit more violent.
That's what I'm saying. I'm exactly with Gary there.
Yeah. So, Patrick, I mean, how do you feel? I mean, we've got a little bit of there's not a discrepancy, but we're a little bit of different opinions here. I got to know yours.
No, I think I'm with you guys too. The match would eventually turn into a brawl, and it was more of what you kind of expected after Monday. But to start it off with a couple minutes of ground and mat-based wrestling and kind of basic stuff. No, yeah, like Harry said, you want to come in fists a flying and you want to go full board the whole way through. But I do agree that I think they were doing a lot more than the crowd was giving them credit for. Did it look great? No, it didn't. Not by a long shot. And it's kind of hard to make the spear on the guardrail or off of the guardrail look good because Charlotte only had about 2 steps worth to get into it. So just real quick here, Patrick. The other thing about that too is it's hard to make that move look good without making it look dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the weird Paige just throwing Charlotte to the floor. That was really just you couldn't have done anything else. That looked really just bad.
To me, I think it would have been better if they did it off of the ring apron, or if they did it onto the ring apron. I think it probably would have looked a lot better rather than
even in the way Big E does it.
Yeah, but they were, to their credit, they were trying different things. They were trying new stuff that either A, hasn't been done, or B, hasn't been done in a long time in Divas match. So I give them credit for that. I'm almost wondering if this is going to land them in some kind of a stipulation match in 3 weeks at TLC, but I think the, relative, cleanness of the victory, I'm just wondering, what's next now? Could they try and extend this, or, because it would be a pretty far shot to have to take to try to extend this in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely. I could understand where you're coming from, too, because I do want to know how they're going to extend this, what they're going to do, and I don't know. I just hope that in the future the crowds do care and do get more behind these two, because I think they're both talented. I just, I'm not sure that people are buying the bill of goods that they're trying to sell them. So
I think that's where Harry was right in that. I think, this is the thing, WWE crowds are not accustomed to Divas matches where you're actually trying to go out there and wrestle and have something that builds to it or whatever. I kind of understood some of the mat-based stuff or whatever, but that crowd is if you're not going at it constant action with the Divas, they tend to just kind of pass it off.
Yeah, because we're so used to the. It is, and we're so used to the Nikki Bella hair pull and all that stuff from the past, and that's what's different about the Divas that they have in there now. But we have a caller on the line, Mr. Brandon Bisco, who is going to give us his thoughts on Survivor Series. But first, we'll ask him. We got to know your opinion on this whole Divas Championship match.
Well, I think with what you guys were just talking about, it's the fact that, the fans are used to, the Bellas being the main players in.
I love we just had to hear a toilet.
I know, that's what I was wondering where that came from.
Yeah, no, that was Tori, but you're expecting, the reason why the fans react the way they do is because they're still, well, for one, they're still expecting that way of thinking, but also it's the fact that, you know, they were promised this whole Divas Revolution and it hasn't been what everyone was expecting. And it took way too long for a lot of people for it to really build up to where it is now. So people have kind of died off of the whole thing again and basically look at the Divas division as an afterthought.
You got a great point there, because they do think it's an afterthought, and they've got to find a way to change it. It's going to take some time. People think it's going to be overnight. It's not. You've got to give it an opportunity.
The only thing that I think will truly cement it and get it back is two things. One, it needs to have consistent good matches, and I think I agree with you, Gary, that, or I think it was you that said that one thing that could definitely give it a big boost is if you make a stipulation match at TLC.
Here's the problem with that, Brandon. What kind of match do you put them in? Because they had a stipulation match for the Divas a couple years ago at TLC. It was a tables match, and they had to redo the finish because the combined weight of the Divas didn't break the table originally.
Then do a ladder match.
I don't think we're ready for a Divas ladder match in the WWE yet.
Ooh, that's scary.
I mean,
like
I know it's hard to do, but I mean, if you have the faith, I mean, everyone's been talking about how, you know, these aren't like Nikki Bella, these aren't like the Bellas, they're actual wrestlers and all that. They've been in the indies, they've, you know, they've made their rounds and everything, and they're real athletes. Then allow them to show it. Allow them to prove it to the fans that they're capable of actually going out there and having quality matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's run that by Vince, and I don't know if he has that kind of patience, though. Yeah. But you know, it is kind of interesting.
Just real quick, the one other thing that will get the division back and get it moving again is if they, I mean, I know they won't do this, obviously, because it's the WWE, and we'll talk about that more as I get into my whole thing with this whole pay-per-view, but they need to either A, completely get rid of the deadweight, or at least relegate them to lower card matches, you know, or just relegate them to Total Divas. And I think you know exactly the people I'm talking about.
No, but you always have to have lower tier wrestlers in your division. I mean, it's
I know that,
but you have to have girls for them to go through when you're building up a challenger or whatever. I mean,
I don't mean that. What I'm saying is the Bellas need to be relegated to that jobber status now, because
they won't be, though. They won't be.
I know that, but I'm just saying that's the only way that you'll get credibility.
With all due respect, Brandon, with all, as I said here, with all due respect, it's asinine to think that the Bellas should be relegated to that position there, because to the casual fan that don't know who the Sasha Bankses and the Charlottes and the Becky Lynches and the Baileys when she comes up, who the casual fans who don't know who these women are, by having them involved in matches where they defeat the Bellas cleanly, that establishes them in the main roster fans' eyes.
Oh, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. That's what the Bellas should be used for now.
But not relegating them, though. You have to keep them relevant, because otherwise those wins over the Bellas would mean nothing for these women.
Yeah, and not only that, let's be honest. I mean, there are still people that cheer for them in the audience, and you can hear it's mainly a female audience, and it's probably the same people who watch Total Divas, who follow them in other areas. So they do have a fan following. It's not us, but they do have a fan following. So I definitely want to know the rest of your thoughts, Brandon, on Survivor Series, but I have to say this before we get out this Divas talk. I think the best way to end this, and probably would have really extended the life on this feud, maybe after the match, after Charlotte's defeated. I just wish that, you know, Charlotte would have put a picture of Reed on her forehead, or Paige, excuse me. Paige's forehead. My brother just dominated you. I don't know. She said Reed's living his life. Reed is living his dream through her, right?
What's so funny is they re-showed that thing on SmackDown after they made that like sort of apology, not apology, but then on the pay-per-view they made sure they didn't
Gary?
show that in the build-up.
Yes, Gary.
You know I like you, right?
Yes.
Shut the hell up.
I'm sorry, I had to say it. She pointed out that Reed was living his dreams through Charlotte.
I know it's been pointed out. I'd rather not think about it. We're moving on.
Okay, we're moving on.
Well, we really don't know whether that's true. So.
Yeah, I just didn't know he wanted to be Divas champion. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's talk, Harry. Excuse me, Brandon, because Brandon, I know you have a few thoughts. So before you go, Brandon, I got to know the rest of your thoughts on the Survivor Series pay-per-view.
I mean, this pay-per-view...
I know where this is going.
What?
I know where this is going. I saw your Facebook post.
Oh, yes. You know exactly where this is going. This is basically a rehash of last month. And be prepared for, as I told Sean on Facebook, be prepared for this thing to go down again. Because
it better not go down.
But, I mean, this pay-per-view, you know, I know they had to build it up quickly and everything, and they had very limited time and whatnot, yada, yada, yada. But this whole situation, you had so much opportunity, so much potential for this whole tournament thing, and they take the easy cop-out way out. They have the obvious guy who everyone expected. I mean, despite all the rumors that they were saying, oh, Dean Ambrose might win, everyone knew Roman Reigns was going to win, and then they have Sheamus come out and cash in, and yada. Same old story, same old, you know, prototypical WWE taking the easy way out, and it's just... it's horrible. Like, WWE isn't, like, it's not even worth watching anymore. It's just the same old thing every single time, and even if someone gets injured, you know who's going to be the next person to step up. And also, we saw exactly, in so many ways, we saw exactly what they're going to be doing with Roman Reigns, and that is he's going to be Cena 2.0. It's so obvious.
Brandon?
Yeah?
I find that we tend to disagree a lot here. Here's my thing in regards to what you just said about it not being worth watching here. The very first thought that I had to that, and that I kept to myself originally, was then don't watch, because if you feel that way, then you're not doing anybody a favor.
Well, that's what I'm probably going to do now, because it's gotten to that point.
But here's the thing, though. Even though we may question the direction of the company, we may question what they're doing with their decisions, I'm not watching solely for storylines. I'm watching to see guys like Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose, Cesaro before the unfortunate shoulder injury, which, by the way, hopefully he heals quickly and is able to make a return back to the position where he should be at. And Seth Rollins, watching them go out there and tear shit up every Monday night, every Thursday night, or every Sunday night when they have pay-per-views, that's the reason why I watch the company.
But, I mean, yes, I agree with you on that, but wouldn't you like it if they actually got something for them, you know, going out night in and night out and working their ass off?
Okay,
having them lose all the time doesn't do anything.
Okay, and how many times did we think that about the whole Daniel Bryan story going into WrestleMania 30?
But that's the thing. The fans need to fully get behind someone and basically force the WWE's hands in order for that to happen. Daniel Bryan, Mick Foley, you know, even Stone Cold, yes, they were going to push him somewhat, but, you know, it wasn't until the fans got fully behind him, you know, I mean, it's...
the Stone Cold is a bad example because Vince worked the hell out of his fan base on that one. They knew exactly what they were doing with the Austin Brett match.
But in regards yes, I'll give you that, but at the same time, they were originally planning him to be a heel.
No, I agree with you. And he started as a heel, and he was able to establish himself as a heel. And I could honestly see Roman Reigns benefiting from that as well. But at the same time, at some point, you're going to have to let Reigns sink or swim. And all this backlash against the guy, frankly, he doesn't deserve it.
I'll give you that on a technical wrestling level, but I think just the fact that they push him so much and they make him out to be basically, equivalent to Cena 2.0. That's what causes the problem.
Let me ask you a question then, Brandon. Just real quick here, because we're getting aside here and we still have the rest of the show to get through, and I apologize to Gary and Sean for going on this tangent here. But if Vince McMahon came up to you and offered to give you the same push that John Cena was getting, you would say no?
No, of course not.
Then you can't fault Roman Reigns for accepting the position he has in the company right now.
But I would say I don't want to be, yes, I want to win titles and whatnot. I want to be the face of the company, but I don't want to do it in the way that Cena does it, where it's so obvious.
Regardless of how they get there, you're still getting to the same point.
Yes and no, because, if you're putting someone, in the spotlight night in and night out, and, they're not giving you anything other than just, I'm just going to destroy everyone and have nothing to offer aside from just, dominating, then it doesn't work. The guys, even a guy like, Stone Cold, he was pushed heavily, but at least he had a character that people liked.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to back up Harry on this, but I want to say this. You got to understand that there's one guy in charge of this company, that's Vince. And if you go up to Vince and say, look, I want to do it what you want me to be the guy, I want to be the guy. But, hey, I want to be the guy that's for the fans. I want to do it the way they want to do it. And Vince is like, I don't care what they want to do. This is my company. I do what I want to do. If you don't like it, go to the back of the line. I've got another guy I can put in your place. And he'll do that without even thinking. Because there's 100 other guys that want to be in that same spot. It's up to Vince. He's going to do what he wants to do.
You have to know who you're targeting yourself towards. And the thing is Vince McMahon sees something in Roman Reigns. Look, is Reigns great on the microphone? Absolutely not. Is he great in the ring? No, but he's good in the ring, and that's something that as a wrestling fan I can get behind.
I think I kind of agree with, we've got Paul in the comments of the posts for the show commenting as we go along here. Not Paul, these are the other Paul Magallanes, and I kind of agree with him because I watch the shows for different things. Like, I don't watch WWE solely for the wrestling. When I watch the WWE show, I watch it to be entertained. It's a entertainment company. I want them to give me storylines that are a little bit different, not just everything wrestling. If I want to go watch wrestling-based storylines, I have New Japan for that. I have ROH for that. WWE is a huge company. They try to make themselves more than wrestling. You need to be giving me storylines that matter. You need to be giving me things that it's not just about what happens in the ring. Because you know what? Everybody wrestles. Who gives a shit? Honestly, like if that's all you're watching the show for, then you're giving WWE too much of a pass. I think.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Brandon on that point. Like, you're giving WWE too much of a pass. If all you care about is what Kevin Owens does in the ring, if all you care about is what Dean Ambrose does in the ring or whatever, they should be characters that we care about. They should have storylines that we care about. Like, this is a company that thinks of themselves as entertainment. They are not a wrestling company. Well, act like you're an entertainment company and entertain us by something else besides the wrestling.
And don't make it, another factor to entertainment is being unexpected. Doing things that make people go, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Do something different. Don't have the same thing where everyone.
but wait, I mean, like, I think that's where it's like a little bit, it's difficult because everything in wrestling has been done at this point. Unless you go into what's his face, and unless you go into Billy Corgan territory, and we've had Patrick talk about some of the crazy, stupid shit he's done. Like, unless you go into that far territory, like, everything has been done. Okay, like, it's the way you do it and how convincingly you're able to make us care about what is happening. Whether it's a simple, and what do we give NXT for, right? Like, we always say about NXT, they give us simple wrestling-based storylines with wrestling, with, you know, old school stuff like squashes and whatever, and we care about it for that, right? Like, it doesn't have to be this magnum opus every time. Like, it's just, they don't know how to coherently make one story make sense from point A to point B, and that's the problem. You have 30 writers there, and you can't do it.
Well, and the other thing is they'll have one. My bigger problem is that they'll have one thing start. They'll start something that looks great, and it's getting the fans involved. And then the next week there will be no mention of it whatsoever, and they'll just completely destroy the whole storyline, like the whole Save the Tables thing.
All right, I will give you guys that. And Tony had this very conversation with me on the reaction on this past Monday, whereas he feels like they are excellent at starting to tell stories and finishing to tell stories. They are never good at both.
Well, and also they're never good at the middle, it seems. It always seems like they'll start something and then it'll kind of fade off and then they'll do something great to end it. But in the middle, it doesn't really matter. And to Sean's point and to your point about, you know, watching certain guys, okay, great. You want to watch Kevin Owens, you want to watch Dean Ambrose, you want to watch, you know, Bray Wyatt, whatever. If those guys, I don't care how good they wrestle on the mat. I don't care how good they do in ring against someone. If they're not getting victories, if they're not getting anything out of it, and they're just loss after loss after loss, getting put further and further down, after a while, you don't care. You say, oh, I know they're going to lose. I mean, Bray Wyatt, when he came up, there was so much excitement for him, so much energy behind that whole storyline, that whole family thing and everything. And then they just completely murder him by not allowing him to win anything. And so, you know, no matter how good someone is, if you're not giving him a shot, then even the biggest fans of them don't really care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that, you know, and, you know, there's a whole lot to it, and this is a debate we've had back and forth, you know, quite a bit, so, and there's a lot to it, but, I mean, not to step away to it too fast, but, I mean, I want to make sure that there's nothing left that you want to talk about Survivor Series, Brandon, because I know we've got a lot more show to cover, so is there anything else you wanted to share?
We can go ahead and just, honestly, there's nothing really left to cover after the Divas. You want to just go ahead and talk about Undertaker and Kane? Well, it was a freaking squash. I mean, like,
yeah.
I know. Like, Sean's getting ahead of. Yeah, I know. But
I'm just saying, there's no reason to make this thing last as long, you know, really long time for no reason. I mean, like, we can just talk about the matches if as it goes along here. Like,
well,
I'm not trying to step on your toes, Gary. I'm sorry.
I know, but you need to hold on, because there's a lot we got to do. So let Brandon finish, and then we will, because we've got a lot of other things we like to do. So.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, as Sean said, I mean, the Undertaker Kane Wyatt family match, not really all that surprising. I mean, yes, you as a fan and looking forward, you'd want to see, as I mentioned again, the Wyatts to actually win something to give them some momentum, but considering it was 25 years and everything, no surprise there whatsoever. And then again, I mentioned, you know, the whole WWE World Heavyweight Title situation, and not despite what everyone wanted and everything, not a surprise there either. The one thing, just looking ahead, that I'm
does it make any, like, I understand Undertaker's a legend, and this whole thing was kind of built around Undertaker and everything, but does it say something about WWE that you have the crowd? The loudest we heard them the whole night was when Undertaker and that match was going on. The rest of the show didn't compare to that. Does that say something about the company? Or is that just because Undertaker's so great?
I think it's because The Undertaker is just so huge that no matter how old he gets or whatnot, he will never become soft. You know, he'll never have a small pop. You know, but I think that's also because, you know, that match, while everyone knew what was going to happen, that was the one match that, at least to some fans, while, yes, looking ahead, it wasn't that great for the company as a whole and for the Wyatts, it was something that, okay, we can live with this. We can live with Undertaker winning it because it's the 25th anniversary and all of that. So I think that was why.
And just as importantly here, Bray Wyatt didn't eat the pin there, so.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, we'll probably end up seeing...
And Strowman didn't even get in the match.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably see some sort of Undertaker, Bray Wyatt again, and Undertaker will win for some inconceivable reason.
Yeah. Okay, so you got your Roman Reigns, win, and whatever happens at the end there. Just your final thoughts on that.
I mean, as I said, it was definitely very anticlimactic because, it was a good match, but, as soon as you saw Reigns hit the spear, you're like, kick out, and then it didn't happen, and you're like, oh, of course, and then as soon as Triple H came out, I was hoping that, Reigns would shake his hand or something and maybe signal something, and then he spears him and Sheamus comes out. I was the one thing I was surprised about, and this is the other thing I was talking about with him being Cena 2.0, is the fact that after a grueling match against Dean Ambrose and everything, they have him kick out against Sheamus after a brogue kick. But
that's okay because they wanted to build the drama.
Yeah,
if you have Reigns go down the first time, there's not as much drama as it looks like Reigns is about to hit the spear and then he gets hit again.
That's true. I'll give you that, but it felt it was both giving Reigns a lot more.
Yeah, well, they did the same. And I see where you're making the comparison to Cena here, because they kind of did the same thing for Cena after his Elimination Chamber defense. But it was more offensive in the case of the Elimination Chamber there, because that match has always been construed as this big, gigantic monster, whereas Roman Reigns had won a 9-minute match against Dean Ambrose. It's not like he's going to be that exhausted.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, but still, it felt so much like, okay, they're going to have him manage to kick out and spear Sheamus and get rid of the Money in the Bank. And then it didn't happen, which, I'm glad about that, because then that would have just made Reigns feel even more powerful. But the thing is that, a cash-in is normally, they get the pin right away, and it keeps them pretty high. Whereas Sheamus, well, for one, he's been weak throughout this whole time that he's had the Money in the Bank contract. And also, having Reigns kick out after the brogue kick just makes him look even weaker, and he's going to be a very weak champion that I don't think a lot of people are going to get behind. The only thing that I'm hoping for, and I doubt it'll happen, but I hope that Dean Ambrose does not get completely buried, and that either A, he'll he'll still be in the title picture, or at the very least, maybe, put him in a feud with Kevin Owens for the IC title as like a, continuation of the feud for the semis.
Yeah. All right, well, cool. A lot of great points, Brandon. I appreciate it. Appreciate you calling in and giving your thoughts, man. So we'll be, talking to you soon.
Yep, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, later, Brandon.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's always great having Mr. Brandon Bisco Bean call in, and you'll probably hear him on a podcast pretty soon here. But guys, Sean's right. We really, these final matches, there's just not just a ton to really say and run over. Let's just go through them really quickly. If you want to spread it out, talk a little bit more about a match, I'm going to give you that opportunity. But if you don't, just say your piece and we can get out. Let's go with Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler. Now, really, to me, this is a match you could have probably saw on Raw. Nothing just super spectacular. The one key thing out of this whole thing is Tyler Breeze using the Unprettier. Now, we've seen him use the beauty shot, but now the final move in this was the Unprettier. 1, 2, 3. Tyler Breeze gets a win on the pay-per-view. What were your thoughts, Patrick?
A nothing match. Kind of took up time that probably could have been used more towards Reigns and Ambrose, or allow Undertaker a couple extra minutes for walking. It was a decent enough match, but I think it was just misplaced because everyone knew what was coming up, with the final two matches. So I don't think anything really was lost on this, and it kind of sucks because we all know that they're both quality workers, but this was not their best work, and hopefully they'll get another shot, a better shot.
Harry, what were your thoughts on the Unprettier being the move at the final part here? I was kind of surprised, but then again, I'm not surprised at that being a new addition to Tyler Breeze's moveset.
Tyler Breeze used the Unprettier to pin R-Truth on SmackDown.
I didn't watch SmackDown, sorry.
And not this on the week before, so
He's used it in NXT as well.
Really?
I was calling that he needed to change the beauty shot to something more impactful anyways, because with regards to the beauty shot, yeah, it looks good, but there are a bunch of different people that use variations of the spinning heel kick, whereas A, the move is named the Unprettier, and B, with Christian retired, nobody does a move like that anymore, and it can be hit on somebody of any size. It works perfectly as Breeze's finisher. As far as the match itself goes, the match was there. It wasn't anything that blew me away or anything, but at the same time, they didn't have the time that they would have needed to have a match that would blow me away. It was there to give Breeze a pinfall victory on Survivor Series to help get him back on track after losing his first major match on Raw, and that was to Ambrose in the title tournament.
Sean,
stupid, but
yeah. It was. But Sean, I'm just happy that Tyler Breeze got a win here on a pay-per-view. It may not be anything great, but I'm just happy with that. But what were your thoughts?
I'm glad too, because I thought they would do the normal Tyler Breeze thing, which is like he gets mad and then he either loses because he gets mad, or they would have some way to do the distraction. They didn't do that either. They had Tyler Breeze win, pretty decisively, honestly. And that's what you needed, Ziggler is what he is. Doesn't really do anything for him as far as he beat Dolph Ziggler. Everybody beats Dolph Ziggler. Well, if for the feud itself, he wins the feuds. Well, you think, I don't know. Could they keep this going? I guess they could. That's the thing with we talked about this on Thursday. There's so many of these NXT guys that are just kind of there because they don't have logical places for them to go. And, speaking of somebody that spent time in NXT, we got to talk about this. Cesaro was not on the show because he has a torn rotator cuff.
Oof.
So
sad.
He's out. And that sucks because he would have been in that Survivor Series match, I assume.
It's a bummer. I hate to hear that, but it is what it is, and hopefully he can get better soon because he is definitely an important part to watching Monday Night Raw for sure. So. But, that's pretty much it for Tyler Breeze and Ziggler. Good job, Breeze, winning. Let's move on to the Brothers of Destruction facing off against the Wyatt family, which, the Wyatt family only gets to choose two. Of course, one of them is taken out pretty quickly, and of course that just leaves, of course that's Rowan who gets taken out, which the most insignificant one, so I think everybody's pretty okay with that. It leaves Braun Strowman, Harper, and of course Bray himself. Bray and Harper are the guys up in the match, so they're, Braun Strowman's out, and he's just kind of waiting to, help out when he can. But really, we get to this match. There's a lot to it. I'm going to let you guys break this down, how you want to break it down, and kind of give me your thoughts. But in the end, Harper is the one pinned. Harry pointed that earlier. It was not Bray. And The Undertaker did it with a tombstone. That's what you need to know for the finale here. So the Brothers of Destruction win. Harry, give me your thoughts on this whole thing.
Exactly what we anticipated it to be. Bray Wyatt's never going to be a credible threat to The Undertaker, nor, honestly, even to Kane here. The only thought that I had that the Wyatts had was, a chance was if Kane turned, and that didn't happen. So, yeah, Taker winning makes sense here.
Patrick, you got a chance to see this. How did you feel about it? Did it live up to what you expected, or, was it just kind of there?
Let's be honest here. This was never, ever actually about the match. This was about the build. This was about the atmosphere, and this was about the celebration. The 25th anniversary, 25 years to the date of, The Undertaker's debut. I did like The Undertaker's entrance. I think it was one that, considering that they were in a, relatively small arena, but I thought they still did him justice. With all the pyro and the fire and everything. I really have absolutely no issues with this because, the world pretty much has gotten used to Bray Wyatt losing at pay-per-views because that's what he does. So this never was about the match. I was very happy with how it came out, for me, personally, being able to say that, that I was able to see The Undertaker's 25th anniversary match, I think the setup for it was perfect. I think everything about it actually did play its part relatively well, and I do like that Kane did kind of get a mention because right now I think Kane might be the second longest tenured continuous employee behind only Undertaker. So I did like that Kane kind of got his moment to shine as well. I've got no issues with it. I actually liked it. I didn't mind it being a squash.
Sean, you did not sound like you were thrilled about this. I know you.
It's not that I wasn't thrilled. It's that it's not something that you. It is what it is. Did anybody expect Bray Wyatt to do anything? No, we didn't.
No.
It is what it is. Rowan got taken out before the bell even rang. Everybody pretty much got destroyed. It's what you want to see when you see a Brothers of Destruction match. You got to see Strowman go through the table thanks to a double choke slam. At least they did him justice. It took two guys. The fact that he didn't even get involved in the match, I think other than being on the outside and kind of just get choke slammed, I think kind of tells me that, he's going to get involved with somebody. Whether it's Kane, whether it's Taker, hopefully it's not WrestleMania, hopefully it's like Royal Rumble or something, or Fastlane, whatever, I would assume they had to have some big match. Now that Rock is not going to be there at all, they have to have some big match for Undertaker. Whether it's Cena, whether it's somebody else, you have to have that now to sell the pay-per-view, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. And that's going to be very intriguing to find out what that is going to be. But, it is what it is, and we'll have to see what the, future holds for The Undertaker and where he can go from here. Let's move on to this last match. Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. We'll get a pretty okay match here. Nothing just, once again, just super blow you out of the water. But, it was there and it was okay.
I thought they did good in, actually reversing things that because they know each other, they would know to reverse. You know, like the Reigns actually trying to stop the kickback clothesline and stuff like that. You know, I thought that was cool. Like for the time that they got, which was very minimal, they tried to do things that would kind of tell you, oh, yeah, these two do know each other. Okay.
Exactly.
And they played that well.
You're right, exactly right, Sean. And that's exactly why I said it was okay. It just didn't blow you out of the water because they didn't do anything just to surprise you. And, you know, let's be honest, no one was rating that just a super high match. It's a high-rated match, but not a really, really high. Definitely not 5 stars, maybe not even 4, maybe 3.5. So,
I don't know. You're getting to the 3 territory, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So. But saying that, you know, let's just go ahead and wrap the whole thing up so we can just talk about it all at one time. Roman Reigns does get the victory here. And, you know, we get, of course, all the confetti, the pyro, everybody's, you know, there and thrilled or whatever. You know, the few fans that really are freaking out, I'm sure, in the audience are there and excited about all this. But you get a chance to see, you know, all that go on. But then Triple H comes out. He wants to shake Roman's hand. Roman's not interested. And then Roman spears Triple H. So Triple H goes down, and then here comes Sheamus. And he bro kicks, you know, Reigns. Basically gives the briefcase to the ref. Calls for the, you know, Money in the Bank to be cashed in. Roman, you know, skips, or basically they missed the bro kick. Sheamus eventually gets it when he tries to get to the spear. 1, 2, 3. Sheamus is your champion at the end of this. You get Roman Reigns getting to be a champion for what, I don't know, 7 minutes maybe? Not even that, maybe, yeah. So, I mean, there you go. Sheamus is your champion.
Huge celebration for only being champion, like 7 minutes. I mean, Lord, you would have thought, like, God came down from the heavens. I mean, jeez.
Yeah, way overblown. This is not WrestleMania. I mean, how are they going to I thought that was way overdone, but whatever. Sheamus is your champion. I mean, I don't know about you guys. We kind of thought this could happen, but I wasn't sold that it was going to happen here. You know, Patrick, what were your feelings about this? Because I know you probably had some mixed emotions.
SummerSlam 2013 called They Want Their Ending Back.
Wait, say that again? You got to say it again.
SummerSlam 2013 called They Want Their Ending Back.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this was. This was SummerSlam 2013 all over again, only with Reigns pulling the trigger, hitting the move on Triple H, rather than Triple H pulling the trigger and hitting the move on Reigns. You know, he hit it on Daniel Bryan. The match itself, I was surprised that it ended how it did. I thought, you know, I know WWE, or I had heard that WWE kind of wanted to start moving away from finisher fests and things like that, and wanted to get back to, you know, one finisher ends it all. But when I saw how much time was left, I was still kind of surprised, because WWE lately, it seems like, has been kind of pushing the time a little bit with their pay-per-views. I didn't mind. I really didn't mind the match. I didn't even mind the ending. No, I am not a Roman Reigns fan. I've never claimed to be. You know, I've backed him here and there when he had his match at Fastlane. I backed him after that. You know, but I will never be a Roman Reigns fan. And even I thought this was bullshit. You know, it's just when with how everything played out, and like you said, with how Sheamus looked earlier, losing, you know, 3-on-1, and then for him to come out, you know, and win the title after that embarrassing of a defeat, it's just, no, it leaves a really, really bad taste in my mouth. And I really don't like this, and I can't even put into words exactly why, but there's just something about this that really rubs me the wrong way. I do like that they're still kind of giving Reigns kind of a more authentic kind of build, he got screwed out of the title flat out at Mania. He got screwed out of potentially winning the belt at Money in the Bank, and now he gets his hands on it and has it taken away from him only moments later. So it's nice, and it's pretty clear that Mania is going to finally be his moment. I have no issues with it anymore. Earlier this year, I thought maybe it was too soon, but I think they're finally getting past that. But there's just something about tonight that just really rubbed me the wrong way. I just really did not like it.
So, Harry, it's apparent Patrick was not thrilled about this ending. He just did not feel like it worked the way it should have. How are you feeling?
When the Roman Reigns Dean Ambrose match ended at 38 after the hour, I knew something was up. That being said, if I were the WWE, I would have had the spear from Roman Reigns to Triple H be the last thing we see. And then you could have Triple H get his revenge tomorrow night on Raw and let Sheamus cash in then. You get a big moment for Raw. You let Reigns hold the belt for 24 hours to see how your fan base responds to him coming down the aisle as champion. And then you can still start to push towards your WrestleMania story. As far as Ambrose and Reigns, I think we got screwed out of a good match, but hopefully they'll end up doing that match from a more expanded state once Reigns does officially finally get his hands on the title.
Sean?
I like Harry's idea. I just think that once again WWE is going to show it. They're going to throw it off as one crowd. I just don't think you can do that anymore because they run into so many different parts of the universe now that they go to some places and everybody's freaking hot for everything. They go to some places everybody's dead. I mean, it's too difficult to judge anymore. To just do that, I want to see what people think about on Raw. So, honestly, I think what they did, and also we need to remember that these are still pay-per-views, and I think that you should still do your big deal on the pay-per-view. Until they no longer show the thing on pay-per-view completely, then you can do whatever you want with those things. If you never want to have a cliffhanger on a pay-per-view again, do it, whatever. But there's still people in Europe and there are still people that are paying for these things. And your whole point is to get people to watch that show on Monday, and you do your cliffhanger there. I get what you're saying. You can still have the cliffhanger of Reigns spearing Triple H, but that doesn't change anything. We know what Reigns spearing Triple H means. Okay, well, I'm definitely not coming on your side or whatever. So I think that this kind of shows, all right, we're doing this stupid storyline again, which I can't stand. I just hate this because, to me, maybe it gets people to boo Sheamus. Maybe it gets people to care about Sheamus a little bit, whatever. And I can understand their goal here. They don't want to waste Money in the Bank shots like that. Like what they did to Sandow, I think that they realized that was a total waste of utter time. Why give someone a Money in the Bank shot if you're just going to completely and utterly waste the time you've sort of invested in that person? Like, this makes Sheamus sort of credible. He's got the authority behind him now. I don't like it. I would have much preferred Reigns just keep the title and you could still do that storyline without having Sheamus cash in and do all that and have a repeat of SummerSlam 2013. But I understand because, WWE's so intent on the authority. They're never going to get away from it. That this just seems like the normal WWE thing to do. And again, it proves WWE doesn't see the writing on the wall that people are tired of seeing this.
Do you guys realize that for pretty much the most part, the authority has now been on top in the WWE for almost 2.5 consecutive years now, with that very, very, very absurdly short break after Survivor Series last year. They've been on top for the last 2.5 years, and essentially due to just bad breaks, they've always ended up winning.
Yeah, and you know what? Well, you know what they're going to try to do, though? They're going to they're gonna do this again at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns being the guy that beats Triple H, and then beats Sheamus, and they'll make it seem like the Authority's done, and then they won't be there either.
It's insane that it's gone this long now.
It really is. Honestly, I have to agree with that for sure. It's lasted quite a long time.
And that's the thing too. Like, it's not even that. Like, they're so inconsistent. Like, one day they'll come on, they'll be the faces, and then the next day they'll come on and they'll be heels, and the next day they'll come on and they're just people that are there making matches. And there's no consistency with that either. So it's just like, oh, okay, why are you all of a sudden being evil? And we know next week you may not even be that.
Yeah, but WWE's proven over and over again they don't need consistency. They just keep trucking. They don't need anything to really make a whole lot of sense. Common sense isn't really there when it comes to WWE. As long as they're entertaining people, that's what their goal is, it looks like. So.
No, I'm sorry not to cut you off. I'm almost wondering, with all of the complaining and whining and moaning that I think, we're all guilty of, and we like to think that we're better than some fans, and a lot of fans complain about, almost everything that the WWE does. But it almost seems like that's what it does boil down to, is the one thing that everybody wants, whether, I want this guy on top, I want that guy on top. But I think even above all of that, having their guy on top, it almost seems like 80% of the WWE's problems would be completely killed off if they just showed some consistency.
Mm-hmm.
If they were just consistent with everything that they did, my guess is about 80% of the complaining would be gone.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely could. You make a good point. I think a lot of us would appreciate consistency. But, will we ever get it? I think that's a stretch.
Sure.
So, you never know, though. You can't say never. It just doesn't seem that way currently. Well, guys, we've talked about all the matches. It's been a lot of fun doing that, but we've got to wrap this thing up, guys. We've got to tie a nice little bow on it, and the way we do that here is we do the final reaction, and Harry Broadhurst is the king of it. So, Harry, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Gary. Give me one quick second over here to get ready.
Okay.
All right. Grab a quick drink, and then we're good to go. Okay. Patrick.
Yes.
Your favorite match or moment of the evening?
I'm going to have to go with moment. It would have to be the Undertaker's entrance. I think it did pay him the respect that he does deserve after 25 years in the WWE. And obviously, I'm saying this as a fan. I'm looking right at my Undertaker poster, at both of them that are on my wall. But I think they did enough with what they had for the respect that they wanted to show him.
Your least favorite match or moment from tonight's show?
I gotta go with the Survivor Series match. It really just seemed pointless and only hurt the now WWE champion, ended up going down 3-1. If they had just given him something, some measure of momentum, I think it could have made the ending to the show a lot better, but no, it just did nothing for him.
Your overall show rating?
This one's tough because I think I have to go with the Bret Hart special here and go 4 out of 10. I think with the ending and the way Sheamus was booked, plus the dead crowd, nothing really over the top, nothing really felt worthy of the semifinals and the finals of a major tournament to crown a world heavyweight champion. To me, the only real saving grace for me was the Undertaker match, and even that wasn't that great. That was all about the build-up and the intros and everything. So, yeah, this was easily a very subpar pay-per-view. So yeah, I'd have to go with a 4 out of 10.
And your MVP for tonight's Survivor Series pay-per-view?
He did the best with the little amount of time that he actually had and a very stiff opponent who probably didn't really actually care what he did with him. So I'm going to have to go with Roman Reigns. I think, I think Roman does look good coming out of this. I think he's finally starting to actually get over and get more of a positive response than negative. And like was mentioned earlier, I do wish he had at least had gotten 24 hours with the belt and had a cash in tomorrow, kind of in a coronation ceremony kind of thing. But instead, we got it tonight, and I think he did the best with the less than 10 minutes that he had with Ambrose. So, let's go with Roman Reigns.
Sean, your favorite match or moment?
Well, my favorite moment had to be just the whole thing with the Undertaker. I think the whole it's 25 years to the day of him debuting at Survivor Series, and Survivor Series is always around my birthday, so it's always been a special pay-per-view for me. And he's kind of been synonymous with that, along with WrestleMania. So to me, that's cool.
Your least favorite match or moment?
Least favorite moment had to be Sheamus cashing in and doing all that. That just completely and utterly soured me on the pay-per-view. I mean, it leaves you... Talk about leaving you with a terrible taste in your mouth when you were done watching that. I mean, I thought it wasn't that great of a show to begin with, and then it's just like, oh man, this just... I wanted to vomit when it was over.
Not Jeebus. Your overall score for tonight's pay-per-view?
I gave it a 5. I thought, the 2 semifinal matches, very good. I liked the Divas match, and not everybody else did. Breeze Dolph was okay, and, Undertaker was what it was, and, all the matches weren't bad. I didn't want to give it a total piss-poor score because at the end of the day, everybody worked hard. It's just they chose a bad ending. But because of that bad ending, I couldn't give it a actual satisfactory score either because I wasn't satisfied at the end pay-per-view.
Your MVP for tonight's Survivor Series?
I have to say Roman Reigns again. He technically wrestled 3 matches on the show. I thought he did really well with Del Rio, who he'd never really faced before. Him and Ambrose didn't get enough time, but they tried their best, and all the stuff with the promos with Ambrose and all that stuff, that all counts in there too.
You see, I'm okay with the match tonight between Reigns and Ambrose being short, and I'll explain my thoughts on that a little bit later on when it's my turn to go here, but thank you very much, Sean. Thank you as well, Patrick. Gary, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, your favorite match or moment?
The good matches were pretty similar in rating to me, so I'll go with moment. And I think that these guys, have good, points about the Undertaker stuff. And I'm going to go with the New Day's entrance. Still entertaining to me. It never really gets old, to be honest with you. It should be old, but they just continue to bring gold to me. So I think that was my favorite moment. I love that.
Your least favorite match or moment?
I got my least favorite match on this, and really, sorry to say, it's the Survivor Series match. I'm agreeing with Patrick on that. Once again, if that's your gimmick match, it's the name of your pay-per-view, at least try a little harder to make it more entertaining, maybe even just but just a better level. Just very disappointing.
Your overall show rating. By the way, speaking of show ratings, Patrick, you haven't voted in Wrestling to the Max's Facebook group yet. Wait, what? They do a grading for the pay-per-views every month in the Wrestling to the Max Facebook group. You can find it on Facebook, facebook.com/Wrestling to the Max. And you haven't voted yet. I think the rest of us have. Oh, okay. I'll make sure to vote in a moment.
I don't think Gary ever votes on those things.
I should. I just never look. Sorry.
Gary's a jabroni. It's cool.
Yeah, it happened. Go ahead.
All right, jabroni, your show rating.
Surprisingly, and this is blowing me away because Sean usually ranks higher than I do, but I'm going to rank higher than Sean. I'm going to give it a 6. I used to be a tougher rater, I guess, than Sean, but not now. I think 6 is where it belongs. A 7 is an average show to me. This is kind of below average. Matches, I don't have a problem with matches, but to me personally, still nothing I couldn't have seen on Monday Night Raw, nothing I couldn't have seen on SmackDown. I think that's why it deserves a 6. And, of course, the Sheamus thing at the end, it's just not great. Let's just be honest. It's okay, whatever. I get they're trying to do, just not great. So that's why.
And your MVP for the 2015 Survivor Series?
I have to give it to Roman Reigns. To me, winning the championship's a big deal. I don't care if it is for 3-5 minutes, whatever. He had to get there. It was a story told. The ending's what it is, but I think you still got to give it to him. Nobody else on this card really shined to me that made me think they deserved it over him. So, all right. Well, that is mine, but now we got to turn to Harry himself and ask him these same questions. So, Harry, are you ready?
Fire away.
All right, here we go. Favorite match or moment?
Dean Ambrose, Kevin Owens. I get the whole nostalgia bit with The Undertaker, and I appreciate it. I really do. But Ambrose and Owens had 12 minutes of solid pay-per-view time with very little downtime in their match. And regardless of the fact that it was only like the 4th longest match on the pay-per-view, I feel like their performance stood out the most.
Least match or moment? Least favorite?
That cash-in leaves a bad taste in your mouth, especially since it was so obviously telegraphed by the fact that the Ambrose and Reigns match ended at 38 after the hour.
All right. What is your overall rating for this one?
My overall rating for this is a 5.5, but I rounded it up to a 6 because Sean doesn't do half points on the scorecard. I'm giving it a 6 officially here, but as I said, my actual rating is a 5.5. The reason I'm giving it a 5.5, leaning up towards the 6, though, is because I felt that there were 3 pretty good matches. You can question the booking decisions in one of them. Obviously, the Survivor Series match, the booking kind of took away from that, but I don't think you can deny that the first half of that match was straight fire. Those guys were on a roll working together. They are clearly having a lot of fun out there. King Barrett may be the greatest thing ever after that performance tonight. I could not stop laughing after he shimmied, and frankly, I kind of want to see him as an honorary member of the New Day now.
I wouldn't mind seeing that either. All right, well, who is your MVP?
You guys hit it right on the head. Tonight's MVP is Roman Reigns, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he was put in the position he was. It had everything to do with the fact that he had the matches that he did to get there. The match with Cesaro on Raw was phenomenal. The match with Del Rio to start the show is the best match since Del Rio's come back to the company, and I think Roman deserves his credit for holding up his share of that match. The match with Ambrose, while underwhelming, was solid and sets the stage for these guys to have extended series of matches down the road, with the possibility that, hey, these guys know each other really well, and it's not just going to be your traditional one guy has offense, the other guy has offense, one guy has offense, then there's a brief main heel heat segment, and then you get the babyface making the comeback and stuff. No, these guys legitimately traded moves and counters throughout the entirety of their match. And the bit during the end of that match where they were on the mat and they both started punching each other in the face while they were sitting down was awesome and completely character telling for the two of them.
I could agree with that. And something I want to, cap this off with is It's for me also why Roman Reigns deserves it a little bit here is that spirit of Triple H. As much as people may not like Roman Reigns, or if you're a huge fan of Roman Reigns, to me that brings out a lot for him because of just the emotion, and people actually enjoy him as a face when they see him spear a guy like Triple H. It added some emotion to me. I kind of thought, oh, that's cool. And that's unusual for me sometimes, but I think it's really good. So, yeah, Roman Reigns is definitely an overall MVP for everyone here. Of course, Harry just mentioned it. You can go to Wrestling to the Max's page and go over there and put your opinions, put your rating for this show. We'd love to hear your feedback. So, guys, go ahead.
Can I change my score real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm just going to change it slightly based on something that I saw earlier. I'm not going to call it 4 out of 10 anymore. This show was booty.
Patrick, I like it. As long as it's not booty juice.
I want to give proper credit where that is due and say thank you to Blake Moody for that.
I was actually looking for the name right now to give him credit, so thank you, Harry. Thank you, Harry, for finding the name because I was looking for it.
Blake is a steady contributor on the Raw thread. I know Blake's tone of text writing when I see it. That was definitely Blake.
Oh, thank you, Blake. That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, guys. Well, we've had a great, productive show. Really, really enjoyed this. We did not really just get crazy about how great this show was. But this show we're having right now is a lot more fun, I think. So we probably watching the pay-per-view. So, but guys, we've got to get out of here. So, I want to do a few things before we get out of here. Wanted to let everybody know that you'll get a chance to hear me, Sean, and of course Paul Leeser do our Wednesday show. We usually do it on Thursdays, but Wrestling to the Max is coming a day too earlier than usual because of the holiday. So we definitely want to let you guys know that. That's where you go find it. And of course, Mr. Harry Broadhurst and his group are going to be doing an awesome podcast tomorrow night following Raw. Harry, tell them about it.
You can join myself. Patrick. You can join myself, Rick Balin, and Tony Acero of 411 Mania for the Raw Reaction, brought to you by DeMarco Radio, and also now an official sponsor for it is our own Yes Wrestling page. So, we got that going for us.
Awesome. That's great. I'd love to hear that. So you definitely need to go check out that show.
Oh, yeah, featuring the World Fat Ass Champion of the world, and still the freaking predictions champion, Jimmy Christopher.
Oh, you can't forget about Jimmy. Great guy. Oh man, and it keeps coming. So definitely, we want to thank also, Patrick Ketza for joining us too. We're hoping to hear more from him later on some stuff. So we'll let him talk about that when it comes up. But man, this has been a great show.
Harry. Blame Harry.
Yeah, I'll blame Harry all the time.
I'm ready to start back up when you are, sucker. Don't yell at me.
I didn't say yell. I said blame.
Sean, anything else you want to put on the the plugs list before we get out of here?
No. Just
you have a Monday Night Football podcast.
We do.
Go Bills, by the way.
Yeah, we are doing our Football podcast on Monday night after the Monday Night Football game with the Bills and Patriots. We'll be recapping all of Week 11, which was a crazy Week 11. Almost every team you thought wasn't going to win pretty much won. So talk about killing predictions for most people. I'm sure mine look terrible right now. I'm ruining the fact that I had, before we had done the preview, I said, okay, I'm going to pick some of these, be a little wild. And then at the end of the day, I went with you guys because I thought, oh, no, I'm going to be totally on an island. I'm going to look bad. And should have stuck with my island. Mm-hmm. But either way, at least the Cowboys won. So there's one win since we're almost back. Let's see what happens on Thursday. Yeah,
and we'll see what happens for Harry's Bills. So we'll see tomorrow.
Come on, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I know. I know you are, Harry. Well, guys, I hope LaShawn McCoy does well. He's my fantasy team. But guys, I mean, we've got to get out of here, but we really appreciate everybody check this out tonight. We do these all the time when it comes to after pay-per-view shows. So anytime you see a WWE pay-per-view, we will be on following. We thank you all for coming on. And so we will leave you at this. We hope you have a great holiday and a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll catch you guys later.
Alrighty. Oh, wait. We didn't do the ending there.
Well, these guys, we haven't figured out a good ending, but, I always say, if you're not living life to the max.
Not living life at all. You know it.
What they said. Yeah.
If I can get back on the damn studio so I can... I've been doing absolutely nothing with my computer this entire time. I've been doing something with my phone. And it decided that it wanted to just, not let me back into the studio so I can hit stop.
Yeah, so we continue on, guys. This is people get a chance to hear the post show until Sean gets the studio going again, right? So here's our time just to go off, right?
I don't know about you guys, but I'm queuing up the Pussifer.
I kind of heard that. I don't know if I did or not. The Pussifer. What did he say?
It's Pussifer. It is a band. It Maynard James Keenan from Tool's in it.
Oh, okay. That's making sure
One of the
right thing.
40 bands that Maynard James Keenan's in. Yeah.
This is almost like the actual ending to the pay-per-view, where it cut out, cut off, and then cut back on to see Roman Reigns walk out.
Yeah, exactly. And then it shows Breaking Ground, right? So, I guess that's a new episode. I didn't know that was going to...
Yeah, that is. I think they just decided to do it after pay-per-view instead of doing it after Raw for this one.
I need to watch it. We did the podcast.
It was Taker Week, so that's why they had the Breaking Ground on the pay-per-view. Here's the thing, though. They're probably just going to replay this episode tomorrow after Raw, because that's what they did when they debuted Breaking Ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. But, at least we get a chance to see it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying that show. I'm enjoying a lot of things on the network right now.
That Edge and Christian show, if they make that a bloopers and best of comedy skits there, that could be really good. If it's do you guys remember the Vault show with Road Dogg and Josh Matthews? I forget what it was called. Oh, you didn't know?
Yes, that was great. I love that show.
If they make this anything like that, I think it has great potential.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, what do Edge and Christian have to lose ripping on people from the past?
True. You make a great point, and I think the only other thing they could add to that whole list of shows that could be great would be a Billy Gunn show talking about PEDs.
God.
So. Did you hear his new nickname, Gary?
No, I did not.
Mr. Needle in the Ass.
Gotta love it.
Okay.
All right, now we can officially end the damn thing.
All right, guys. Peace out.